The best villain in Warcraft history. Don't forget, Garrosh, he was one of the first to call out Sylvanas for being messed up. He called her a bitch in-game, if you don't remember. So, let's check out why Garrosh goes down as the best villain in Warcraft history. I think that title belongs to Arthas Menethil, but Garrosh was born, created, and lived all within World of Warcraft. So let's see what he's all about.
Blood and thunder for the true horde. Kneel before me.
By the way, I'm gonna what the? Someone just shot a Kamehameha. By the way, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I am Alliance. I'm Alliance favored. I love the Alliance. So for me to like Garrosh says a lot because Garrosh wanted to eliminate the Alliance. But I just think he was a good leader. I do. I think he had, he wanted to do good for the Horde. What he did to the Tauren was kind of messed up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just watch the video. Sorry. That's the one thing I didn't like. What he did to Bane's dad, Cain Bloodfoot.
My life began under the shadow of a curse. Years ago, my father was the first orc to drink demon's blood, corrupting the Horde.
Garrosh grew up in a life of shame. His father, Grom Hellscream, leader of the Warsong clan, had led the orcs down a corrupted path. After they drank the demon's blood, they abandoned their honorable heritage and just became bloodthirsty monsters. Throughout Garrosh's young life, he was relentlessly harassed for his father's actions and how he doomed the orcish race. To make matters worse, when the Horde was being formed, Garrosh and the Magheart orcs were infected with a disease called the Red Pox, making them unfit to fight for the Horde. And ironically, this would save them from being corrupted by the demon blood like the rest of the orcs.
Oh, I always wondered why Garrosh didn't drink the demon blood. He was infected by a plague. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
For Garrosh, it meant he had to stew in his dishonor, never to have learned the deeds of his father on the foreign world of Azeroth.
They left for war, leaving only those of us who were sick and weak behind. It was not until I was much older I learned the truth of his redemption.
Damn, I just realized something. Abandoned by his father. Abandoned by Thrall. Shit. Now it understands. Now I understand why it hurt him so much when Thrall left. He already had daddy issues. And then he just left him. It's all Thrall's fault, man.
Garrosh, I have great news for you.
All your news is about the past. I hate it. I know that my bloodline is tainted. I can only hurt my people.
Garrosh is like
That
Anduin?
isn't true.
No, well, Anduin's dad was killed. I think your dad being killed is better than your dad abandoning you in terms of emotional damage. Now, I mean, yeah, he preferred to have neither, but I'm just saying. One seems like a more personal hit. You know, your dad dying, he can't be there. It's not his choice.
Your choices are your own.
He went for a
People
milk.
only see your father when they look at you. But that will change.
I just don't want to hear about my father and all of his terrible crimes.
Sharing your feelings is the best way forward. Healing is a process. Take a deep breath.
Pathetic. Weak. Your bloodline is tainted. You are weak.
That's right.
Enough
that
delaying.
rage.
Listen to my grandson. He has come a long way.
Garrosh, son of Hellscream. Your father lived and died as our greatest hero. He saved us all by killing the demon, Manaroth, and lifting the curse. A great burden has been lifted from my shoulders. Thank you, Thrall.
Look at
During
that.
the events of the
Becoming
Burning
best
Crusade
friends.
expansion, Thrall saw great promise in Garrosh. Sure, he was short-tempered and prideful, but he was in tune with Orcish traditions, something that the Orcs had lost over the years. He also wanted to honor the memory of Grom Hellscream, the one who saved Thrall's life and served as his mentor. And after finding out his father had redeemed himself, now Garrosh felt pressure to live up to his image. So Garrosh joined War
Pretty
Chief
cool that there was
Thrall's
like the whole
advisory.
image of Garrosh saving his dad the second time this happened in WoD. That WoD cinematic. I mean, that's one. It still goes down as one of the best ones. That thing was amazing. Times change, all that. That was a great freaking cinematic, man.
Council. When the uncorrupted orc entered the dark portal and arrived in Durotar,
What the fuck is this?
he realized it was a far cry from what he had expected. They were living in an inhospitable
huts.
desert, lacking natural resources or many geographical advantages. There was better places for the Horde to settle, but ironically, War Chief Thrall valued peace above all else, which is something Garrosh vehemently disagreed with. The Horde's entire foundation was built on war. Why
That's right.
change that to appease other factions and let your own
He's just
people
trying to do
suffer?
better by the Horde.
Garrosh's traditional orcish ways of thinking inflicted friction amongst the War Chief's advisory board.
Thrall invited me to join him as his advisor on the world of Azeroth. I knew I was ready to follow in my father's great legacy, but not all of Thrall's other advisors agreed.
Why do you always undermine my counsel, boy?
I am no boy. You weaken the
He's
Horde
an
with
Anakin Skywalker
compromise
trope. Is that
and
what's going on?
capitulation. I see the Horde as it should have been. Bold and strong.
Yeah.
Foolish Magar. Peace is achieved through negotiation. Even children know that.
Why did they call him a Magar like that's an insult? That's a freaking badass thing. He's not tainted by the demon blood like the rest of them. Shit, he should be insulting them. He's pure.
should have you cleaning the peon's boots to learn your place. I will not tolerate your disrespect.
And I will not suffer weakness.
Thrall should never have appointed you to advise him. Anyone could see your ignorance.
Sam is
Jealous words from a feeble foe.
Is that how you speak to your elders? It isn't you Thrall loves, only the memory of your father. You'll pay for your insolence one day.
That's true. Probably just because
Are
they're
you
majority
expecting an
sick.
apology?
Garrosh would continue to be on the advisory board during the events of Wrath of the Lich King. When the Scourge became a rising threat once more, Thrall decided they would take a cautious approach. They should send scouting parties to Northrend, they should discuss tactics with the Alliance, and organize a careful attack plan. Garrosh hated that idea. The Maghar Orc demanded that they should just take all of their Horde armies, go crush the Alliance, then storm into Northrend and deliver the same brutal fate to the Scourge.
I mean, that is that. I mean, if the plan works the way Thrall just described, that's a victory, right? Destroy the Alliance, then destroy the Scourge. Easy.
Thrall hated the idea. The
Great
Alliance
plan.
wasn't a threat, and wandering into a frozen wasteland of Northrend with no intel is a ridiculous idea. The two continued to feud against one another until they settled it in a duel in the Ring of Valor. The two traded blows until...
Come, let us lay waste to this realm.
420, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. I had no idea that Thrall and Garrosh had dueled before. Before the Mak'gurab, where Thrall cheated and was getting his ass kicked, but he cheated. Oh, their duel got interrupted.
Tremble and know your doom.
There he is. What a
The Scourge
badass.
had invaded Orgrimmar, and with the help from the player characters, we push back the invasion, and then Thrall realizes that, Garrosh might be right. The Horde needed to act, and fast.
When the
Those Scourge invasions are so
attacked,
much fun.
I had a chance to prove the strength of my strategy to everyone. Thrall sent me to Northrend to lead the Horde expedition and eliminate our enemies.
Garrosh was promoted to Overlord of the Warsong Offensive and established his command post at
Promotion.
Warsong Hold. Garrosh was advised by High Overlord Sarfang, who countered Garrosh's reckless bloodlust as a commander. He told him that if Garrosh led his armies to fight the Alliance, he would be leading them down a dark path. It would be the same dark path his father had led the orcs down when they were corrupted by demon blood. And if Garrosh ignored his protests, Saurfang would kill him himself. So Garrosh begrudgingly agreed.
Interesting,
Kind
Radnot.
of. He promoted commanders who harnessed the same hatred for the Alliance and initiated attacks on them in Grizzly Hills, and even fought them during the climax of the war in Icecrown
Yes,
Citadel to
That's
defeat.
true. I mean, we did fight during the fucking fight for Icecrown. Literally, like, saw each other while we were fighting and decided to go at it. We're like, hey, there's the Horde. Let's fight these guys. And of course, Garrosh led that shit. The only time that we, like, put down our swords was when Varian allowed Hellscream to go pick up his son's body, right? That was the only time that, like, then we had peace, and then we continued on to fight the Lich King. But we did fight. I forgot about that. Even though I've done this fight 100 times trying to get invincible, we did fight during our attempt to kill the Lich King.
The Lich King. Despite this, Garrosh was a firm believer in honorable combat and refused to fight the Alliance
It's
if
what
they
the
were
image of
locked in battle
Gorehowl
with the
whispers
Scourge.
to you on
If
your
they were
death.
going to defeat
What, really?
the Alliance, it would be on equal footing. This respect for honor can also be seen
With each thread unraveled a step closer to my realm. It's what the image of Gorehowl whispers to you on your death. Oh shit, it's kind of badass.
in Warsong Hold, where they have Alliance deserters imprisoned in
What it
filthy
means.
pig pens as punishment for their cowardice. Garrosh appears in various scenes in Wrath of the Lich King, where his main character trait is being a hot-headed asshole who only wants to defeat the Alliance. But by the end of the expansion, the Scourge was defeated and the Horde armies returned to Kalimdor, and Garrosh was considered a hero for his leadership. He was bestowed with his father's former weapon, Gorehowl, for his efficient, if somewhat problematic, display of leadership during the war.
This
Like, I mean, he got shit done, right? I just another example of why he was a great leader. He got shit done. He got victories for the Horde.
will prove useful. All will fall
Here,
in
have
the
your dad's low
name of
resurrection.
Hellscream for the Horde!
Still a badass weapon.
But unfortunately, these times of celebration were short-lived. The lands the Horde lived in were dry of resources, and they were on the verge of a famine. The elements had been disturbed, and Durotar had become under distress. These natural disasters disturbed supply lines, and the Night Elves nearby refused to take any part in
Furion.
mutual beneficial
It's fucking
trade.
tripping.
The Elves were hesitant to work with the Horde since the Wrathgate. This is an awful event during the war in Northrend, where Rogue Forsaken massacred the Alliance and their former Horde allies. And the tragedy clearly displayed the Horde as not being able to be trusted. The peacekeepers of the Horde,
Right.
Thrall, Karen, and Hamel Runetotem, worked to mend relations with the Night Elves. And of course, Garrosh was pissed.
Why give when you can take?
The Wrathgate was a tragedy for both factions, and they should take what they need by force. Meanwhile, during all this, fire elementals attacked Orgrimmar, and the world continued to crumble in unrest.
Dude, I mean, like, look at this. Look at the shit that Garrosh walked into. There were a lot of bad things going down. He's watching his people starve, get the shit beat out of him by fiery elementals. Like, this guy was taking drastic actions, but during drastic times. You gotta understand it a little bit.
War Chief Thrall was not only a leader, but a shaman. And with a heavy heart, he realized that in order to soothe the world around him, he needed to leave his position as War Chief to find the elemental answers he seeked. But he needed to find someone to replace him.
Freaking
He thought
Thrall
about
taking a
Karen
vacation.
or Vol'jin, and while they were fine leaders, they would be rejected by the orcs for not being one of their kind, and in dire times like this, the Horde could not handle the unrest this would cause.
The orcs were racist,
But
yeah.
Garrosh had the heritage of a true orc. He was the son of the Warsong clan chieftain and was an uncorrupted orc. Right after the war on Northrend,
I wonder why Saurfang wasn't chosen. Was he too old or something? I mean, you would think Saurfang would be respected enough to have been the leader. Or maybe Saurfang just didn't want a leadership position. I don't know, but he seems like he would have been the more logical choice.
as a hero of the Horde, and he would be able to galvanize the faction in these desperate times.
Oh, he was. See,
Was
he
he
turned it down.
reckless?
I figured it was
Totally.
in the novel. Okay.
But Thrall had plans to regulate his
Yeah, that
behavior.
makes sense.
Thrall summoned the soon-to-be war chief, the Gromosh Hold, and told him that he was to be promoted to war chief. Garrosh was taken aback. He was a warrior, not a politician, but Thrall assured him, telling him that Vol'jin, Karen, and Eitrig would serve as his advisors. Garrosh then accepted his role as the leader of the Horde, and Thrall left to go do shaman stuff, and soon after, Garrosh immediately transformed Orgrimmar into a city of war, moving Gromosh Hold from the Valley of Wisdom to the Valley of Strength.
I mean, he did up-res the city. It did look much better once he did his remodel, honestly. Yeah, Orgrimmar looks much better.
Garrosh was quick to dominate his new role as war chief, and the drums of war
Extra metal
thundered
spikes, yeah.
through the streets of Orgrimmar as the Horde readied themselves for conquest. Garrosh's appointed advisors tried to instill some sort of diplomatic logic into him, but it fell on deaf ears.
Anger management? I'm great at managing people with my anger. Weakling. What? You will obey your war chief without question. Me busy. Leave me alone. You dare speak to your war chief with such disrespect? Yes. I am the war chief of the Horde. Respect my authority! Me not that kind of orc. You are dismissed!
During this time of mass rebuilding, events out of Garrosh's control took place. In Ashenvale, a peaceful meeting between Night Elves and Tauren was disrupted by agents of the Twilight Hammer cult, posed as members of the Horde.
Lay waste to this realm.
Forgotten, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. You know, Sourfang, or not, sorry, not Sourfang. Jesus, who am I trying to think of? What's his name? Well, there was Thrall. But Garrosh, I guess, screw where my thought was going, but Garrosh probably saw this as a betrayal. He probably saw this as a betrayal. And, Hellscream is who I was thinking of, his dad. I don't know why I freaking drew a blank there. He probably would have seen this as a betrayal, too. Looking back at it, talking members of the Horde, talking to members of the Alliance, I don't know. You got to remember, his dad died, at a very early stage in the Azerothian history of orcs. Right? So he freaking fought off a demon and that was it. But at the end of the day, they were never talking to the Alliance peacefully like this. So he probably saw this stuff and was like, oh my God, what is going on? Betrayal. That's why he hated the Tauren at the end of the day. They were really getting friendly with the Alliance and he hated that shit.
Slaughtered the Tauren and Elves
What's up,
alike.
Forgotten?
The only survivor was Hamel Runetotem, who then traveled to Karen Bloodhoof, chieftain of the
Sounds
Tauren,
not real, probably
and
forgot
explained what
Hellscream.
had happened. Karen immediately came to the conclusion that
5
this
a.m.
was Garrosh's doing, and reckless behavior like this is definitely something up his alley. But when Karen confronted the war chief, he denied it, which was true, but Karen didn't really believe him. This, combined with the warpath Garrosh was leading the Horde down, led the leader of the Tauren to conduct drastic measures.
Yeah, see, he definitely...
You are not so clever as you think. I have lived my whole life with honor. You may trust my counsel. I think you mean cowardice, and I do not trust it at all.
See, this was a tough one for him.
Respect our ways. Thrall's advisors had promised to support me, but instead they turned on me the moment the war chief was gone. One of them, Karen Bloodhoof, was so bold as to challenge me to a Mak'gora, a duel for leadership of the Horde.
Man, the Bloodhoof's so cool.
Have you come to fight me, old bull? I fear we may not find an agreement outside of battle. Thrall saw only his fond...
You gotta remember this, setting the stage for this fight, he is out of his prime, right? Kane is no longer in his prime. And then you got, basically Garrosh, who was, in the thick of his prime. He was masculine, built, ready to go. So you got this old, I think Cain in his prime would have probably bitch slapped the shit out of Garrosh. And actually, let's see what happens in the fight. Because as I know the lore, Cain was winning this fight. He didn't know that, Garrosh didn't know his axe was poisoned. And in fact, that's why he would end up winning.
This for you, not who you truly are. I answer to no one!
Yeah, he didn't know his axe was poisoned.
If only you were as skilled at listening as you are at attacking.
Damn.
Ha! The great Cairn Bloodhoof has fallen! Think again before questioning.
See, Garrosh didn't know yet. But he would have thought the poison on the weapon is complete dishonor to him. He was furious when he found out.
Me. But wait, wasn't that almost too easy?
Unbeknown to Garrosh, there was further levels of betrayal that influenced their duel. Before this battle, Garrosh and Cairn's weapons were ritualistically blessed. The person that blessed Garrosh's axe was Magatha Grimtotem, leader of the Grimtotem Tauren, who wanted Cairn Bloodhoof dead, so the matriarch could usurp control over Thunderbluff during his absence. She secretly poisoned Garrosh's axe, making the honorable duel actually totally dishonorable. Garrosh was left conflicted. When he discovered this truth, it stripped him of the glory of an honorable fair fight.
Garrosh would have never agreed to this.
Magatha was the orchestrator of his dishonor, and it filled Garrosh with rage. When Magatha reached out to request aid from Garrosh to claim Thunderbluff, he replied by wishing her a violent death.
I will destroy everything you have ever loved!
Boom. Honorable. You see that? Garrosh is an honorable orc, man. He's all about that honor.
But despite Garrosh's refusal for aid, the Grim Totem still managed to take control over Thunderbluff for a time. Garrosh later then had a meeting with Bane Bloodhoof, son of Cairn Bloodhoof, and discussed the situation at hand. The war chief fully expected Cairn to request a duel because of the death of his father, but to Garrosh's surprise, Bane realized the truth of Magatha's betrayal and swore the Bloodhoof tribe's loyalty to the Horde. The Grim Totem ran out of Thunderbluff soon after and were banished from Mulgore and forced to settle in the Stone Talon Mountains. Soon after, Garrosh continued his conquest in the Horde army.
Bane's a good leader. I have to say, Bane's a good leader. He's done things right. His chats with the Alliance have been, in good taste. Yeah, Bane is a real national treasure. He truly is. He truly is.
Spread across Azeroth.
This guy killed his dad, and he was able to, negotiate for the good of his people.
Eye on the untrustworthy undead. They also imperialized the Twilight Highlands and claimed the Forest of Ashenvale for its resources. This assault was a decisive victory, mainly because Garrosh had captured proto-dragons and Magnetar from the previous Northrend offensive and unleashed them on the Alliance. Under Garrosh's leadership, they had captured the enchanted forests of Ashenvale, a feat not even his father could have achieved in the past. Well, Garrosh would have fully claimed Ashenvale if the story wasn't told in the Wolfheart novel, where the main character is Garrosh's mortal enemy, Varian, King of the Alliance, who kicks Garrosh's ass and fully repels the Horde invaders. Garrosh appears a lot.
I think Garrosh's main, he definitely saw Varian as an adversary, and a maxed out adversary, because he did get defeated by him quite a lot.
During the questing in the
And Varian was a hothead too. Like, he was the Alliance equivalent of Garrosh, except he just had a bit more diplomacy in him. And that diplomacy really came from his son, who, constantly talked him down from just fighting everybody.
One specific quest.
They were very much alike, though.
Favorite, and it's in the Stone Talon Mountains, where an overlord named Cromgar bombs a whole bunch of innocent druids who are not hostile at all. In response, Garrosh goes,
"What have you done, Cromgar? Was my command to murder innocents, Cromgar?"
Lord Chief!
You see that shit? He's a good guy. See, Garrosh is about fighting and battle and honor. Killing innocent civilians, never his thing. Look at that. Look what he does to this guy.
Am I a murderer, Cromgar?
No! War Chief!
Then I ask you again, what have you done? I sent you into Stone Talon Mountains with an army. Your orders were to secure this land for the Horde. Instead, you laid waste to the land, murdered innocents, children even.
Damn.
Honor, Cromgar. No matter how dire the battle,
What a quote.
never forsake it. Overlord Cromgar, you have disgraced the Horde. By my right as War Chief, I hereby relieve you of duty. You are dismissed.
Now, this quest is really
That,
weird.
that fall's not high enough, yeah, honestly, to kill him. I don't know how he died there. But what I will say, that's the Garrosh right there, man. That's Garrosh. He's not about just killing innocents and shit. Falls 5 feet and dies. Yeah, I know. Well, this is the thing about him. Right, as hot-headed as he may seem, as, you know, extreme as he may seem, he still had standards of honor that must be upheld. Killing Cain with poison, dishonorable. He hated it. Killing innocent children, dishonorable. He hated it. But fighting for the glory of the Horde, to secure land and food for his people, he was willing to do it. That's right. Miss says otherwise, Sam. Yeah, maybe some dealing with some Shaw shit might have messed with his head a little bit, but let's see. We'll get there, I'm sure.
Because in a dev interview, Alex Fossarabi, former narrative lead of Warcraft, basically said, yeah, my bad. This quest was actually written incorrectly and out of character. He says, and I quote, I didn't stick to the path with Garrosh. Not everyone was on board. Not everyone got the memo, as it were, and as we were designing, that was my fault. Because when you're trying, because I was actually trying to bring Garrosh around, and Stone Talon was going to be the first of that. Cataclysm was a pretty crazy time for us.
Jesus.
Which is one of the rare moments
So
in
Blizzard
Warcraft
done fucked
history
it up.
where the writers
Yeah,
are
rip.
just like, my fault. Sorry, guys.
This is the thing, though.
event-
I remember this all these voice lines. I remember reading this shit and being like, damn, Garrosh ain't a bad guy. And now I'm hearing from freaking Blizzard that actually this kind of shit shouldn't have gotten into the game. The hell?
is still considered canon, though.
Still canon. There you go. I think
just
it is.
wildly
Has to
out
be.
of character, and as we see later, Garrosh has no problem with killing innocents. Anyways, once again, not everyone in the Horde approved of Garrosh's warmongering nature.
I like him better like this.
Vol'jin, leader of the Darkspear Trolls, outright told Garrosh that he would kill him if he continued this bloodthirsty conquest.
Enough of your nonsense!
And in response, Garrosh kicked out all of the Darkspear Trolls from Orgrimmar, and they settled back on the Echo Isles. Soon after, Garrosh amassed a powerful navy which effectively blockaded all of Kalimdor, which kind of forced his less than enthusiastic Horde allies to remain loyal. But a critical place Garrosh needed to
banned them
deal
and
with in order to secure
kept them.
all of Kalimdor was Theramore, which was the war chief's next target. Garrosh amassed his Kor'kron army, and first they sacked Northwatch Hold. All the while, the other leaders of the Horde were starting to feel a bit more uneasy about their new, insane war chief. These members of the Horde held a secret meeting to discuss the concerns about this event and their unpredictable, violent war chief.
What? Say that again! As War Chief, I am ashamed to partner with a coward like you!
Garrosh found out about their secret meeting and clarifies that he is not like their former war chief Thrall, who is a capitulating pacifist bitch, and that it was his indecisiveness that put
Look, man, Garrosh got shit done. Look, I'm an Alliance player. I like the Alliance, but I have to admit, when somebody is just fucking playing chess on the checkers board, he freaking got rid of Theramore. It was one of the only settlements for the Alliance on Kalimdor, and he freaking annihilated that shit. He was really making progress for the Horde. I mean, he's making a safer Horde. That's what he was doing.
the Horde in this situation in the first place. Members of the Secret Council tried to instill some reasoning into the war chief. You know, we've harbored
Anytime,
peace
Rogue.
with Theramore for years now. We basically own everything else in Southern Kalimdor. I mean, do we really need to do this? Think about the
was a Horde
consequences of
blood
an
elf
outward
just to
attack.
fucking raid.
All of Kalimdor will belong to the Orcs! Get in my way, and I'll cut you down!
See, that was his end goal, and a lot of people don't know that. His end goal was to secure basically resources and safety for the Horde. And he believed to do that, they had to have the entirety of the continent of Kalimdor. Because if you look at the map in general, some of the richest and most, resource-rich and environmentally, good land in Kalimdor belonged to the Night Elves. That's where Teldrassil was. That's like the foresty, it's filled with fruits and all kinds. That all belonged to the Night Elves. And then you got one of the best ports in the entire continent, Theramore, owned by the Alliance, too. So obviously, he saw these things as like, well, if we want stability and resources for my horde, I need the best port on my continent, and I need the best resources on my continent. Those are currently both owned by the Alliance.
By that,
Garrosh then let them all off with a warning for his deceit and left.
Hyjal, Ashenvale, all those.
Next was the attack on Theramore, in which Garrosh hatched a brilliant plan. First, slowly march the giant horde army towards Theramore, and then just stand around the gates menacingly. The Alliance obviously will see their approach and rally all of its armies and leaders to Theramore. Just stack up the whole city with their most powerful soldiers. The Horde armies will try and breach the city and then just leave and pretend like they lost. The Alliance will foolishly celebrate, and then Garrosh will drag a giant mana bomb nuke and drop it
the first
on the
nuke
city.
in WoW.
I'm organizing a little surprise party for Jaina. It's going to be a blast.
Good old goblin ingenuity.
This dealt a massive blow to the Alliance, with only a few survivors escaping. In response, the Alliance retaliated by attacking
Dishonorable.
Durotar, and Jaina Proudmoore threatened to consume...
I mean, you want to say dishonorable, but honestly, to be fair, Theramore was a military camp. He didn't bomb a city. He bombed a military encampment. I mean, that's what Theramore was. It was a military port. So, dishonorable? I don't know. He basically had victory with less deaths for the Horde. So, he was just doing his best for his people. And psychotic, probably.
This dealt a massive blow to the Alliance, with only a few survivors escaping. In response, the Alliance retaliated by attacking Durotar, and Jaina Proudmoore threatened to consume all of Orgrimmar in a giant tsunami. Eventually she was talked down, and this assault was repelled by the Horde, which included Garrosh and Varian dueling for a third time, and the Alliance was repelled, but they did reclaim North Watchhold and the Barrens. This Alliance retaliation enraged Garrosh so much that he totally transformed his approach to the conflict. Originally, he just wanted to drive out the Alliance from Kalimdor.
Yeah, this was his original plan.
Now, his plan was to just kill
And
literally
the
all
Alliance.
of them.
Yeah.
all the Alliance, all over the world, just kill them all.
This is where the more extreme side of Garrosh came out. This thing's starting to take a little bit of a turn here. So his original plan, yes, was to just take back Kalimdor, but he kind of lost his shit at this point.
Woman, and
The video's going to take a turn. It's going to be a bit harder to defend him at this point.
child, a part of the Horde, would help in this barbaric crusade or face the wrath of his elite guards, called the Korkron. And coincidentally, during this time, the mists have been lifted from the previously undiscovered continent of Pandaria, a land full of peaceful panda people. And the Horde and the Alliance immediately rushed to claim all of its resources and just murder the out of each other and turn the land into a war zone. 2 months into this invasion, Garrosh arrives, and Vol'jin, leader of the Darkspear Trolls, raises his concerns once again. We keep just doing the senseless violence, maybe we should stop. In response,
Yeah.
Garrosh sends
Good
Vol'jin
talk.
on a mission with his Korkron guards, and they stab him in the throat.
Damn. He survived this?
Vol'jin survives this assassination attempt.
He just survived getting stabbed in the throat? What a champ. But then he died. Vol'jin's death was kind of underwhelming, I have to say. He literally got killed by some, freaking Burning Legion NPCs. Like, not even a major character from the Burning Legion. He just got stabbed a couple times. It's kind of sad. Because he just survived a throat stabbing. I mean, what the hell?
One of the main reasons Garrosh and his Horde armies came to Pandaria is because of the powerful artifacts that they could obtain. One
The
of these
assassination
artifacts
attempt was cowardly,
called
I
the
will admit it.
Divine Bell.
The Alliance were eager for vengeance, but they could not take it so long as we retained our advantage. To ensure this, I sought an artifact in Pandaria, the Divine Bell. but the enemy was quick to interfere.
Stop, Garrosh! You do not know what that bell
This
is
is when he
capable
almost kills
of.
Anduin.
You run bravely to your death, young one.
We haven't met before, but, I'm Anduin Rin.
So in the end, it is not Varian, but his whelp who comes to face me.
Honestly, I'm just trying to help you. The
That's
Mogu
honorable
made the
right now.
divine bell to create chaos, but the Pandaren created a mallet to counter it. That mallet was hidden for
Rogue.
thousands of years.
Good job on the
Until
talk there,
now.
Rogue.
I have no idea what you said, nor do I care. Loktar Ogar! Blood and thunder! Your alliance must be at its end if it's sending
He didn't kill him.
children against me.
Okay, well, Garrosh was going to claim the Divine Bell, but Anduin was just being so goddamn annoying. He just decided
Broke
to
it.
break the bell over the frail 14-year-old boy because he was asking for it.
Yeah,
Besides,
yeah.
Garrosh
But he
has-
didn't kill him. Okay, let's be fair. He did not kill him. He just broke a bell over his face. That was about it. So there you go. Yeah, World of StarCraft. They probably know other MMOs. Honestly, they probably wouldn't do it. Yeah, look. Let's just keep
much
watching.
more important matters
This shit
to
gets
attend
darker, I
to.
think.
Large factions in the Horde have become completely
So he
fed
threw
up
that
with the
bitch,
War Chief's
basically.
warmongering, especially the Darkspear tribe. This leads Garrosh to denounce the trolls as traitors and forcibly take their holdings and execute its members. And the rest of the non-Orcish races were rounded up in the Valley of Spirits.
You are all unworthy of the Horde.
Vol'jin, having survived his assassination attempt, declares a full-on civil war, naming those who fought against Garrosh the Darkspear Rebellion, an ally with Horde and Alliance player characters. This rebellion
Blasphemy.
is quick to reclaim the Echo Isles and Razor Hill. Meanwhile, Garrosh is hoarding powerful Pandaren artifacts. And
You got to understand, I mean, Garrosh was probably really pissed at the other races, because initially I think he was fine with them being in the Horde, but those other racial leaders just kept betraying him. Like, they kept meeting behind his back, they kept talking to the Alliance, they kept doing shit that he was telling them not to do. So he probably just saw the other races as like, well, you know what? Fuck them. They don't want to be in my Horde. They're not worthy of being in my Horde. And that's why he got rid of them. But his initial stance on him wasn't it. And he only took the leadership position because he was told that these other races, you know, racial leaders, like the Tauren, the Trolls, and they would help him lead. But at the end of the day, they didn't, so he banished them.
mercenaries to supplement his Kor'kron forces. His goblin excavation teams he hired back in Pandaria found the heart of the deceased old god Yasharaj, and Garrosh throws it in the pool in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, corrupts the lands, and kills a panda. Now Garrosh has fully submerged himself in his villain arc. His headstrong nature and brutal perseverance in claiming all of Azeroth for the Horde has forced him into a situation where his allies have turned against him, and now he's willing to do anything possible to prove their foolishness wrong. Horde and Alliance forces raid the city of Orgrimmar, fighting through the streets and dismantling Garrosh's
long
Orcish
raid,
horde,
but good raid.
before they have their final showdown with the misguided war chief, Thrall. Garrosh's old mentor attempts to talk some reasoning into the one he granted the title of war chief.
It is not too late, Garrosh. Lay down the mantle of war chief. We can end this here, now, with no more bloodshed.
Ha! Do you remember nothing of honor, of glory on a battlefield? You who would parley with the humans, who allowed warlocks to practice their dark magics right under our feet.
Hey, Garrosh's concerns about warlocks is pretty true. I mean, you know, look what happens later on in, you know, with Watt and everything else that happens post Garrosh. It's you know, definitely warlock magic is questionable to begin with, and he saw the corruption that it could bring into the Horde. But at the end of the day, this is all Thrall's fault. He saw these traits in Garrosh and then made him leader. I mean, come on, man. And you're going to blame him for all this shit that he did without guidance, without anything? You know, he did have guidance from council, from the Trolls and the Tauren. But to him, I mean, he was appointed leader. So he felt like his positions on things just outweighed theirs. It all comes back to Mr. Thrall. Bad decisions.
Weak. We are the Orcish Horde. The true
Impure blood
Horde.
equals bad.
We die.
Well, he saw what impure blood did to his people. I mean, it's the truth is, when he thinks of impure blood, he thinks of corruption from demons and stuff like that, which is bad. Look what it did to his race. Freaking led him on a crazy blood tear. They literally just savagely tore apart Draenei civilization after civilization. They were war crazed at the time. So I mean, he saw the glory in battle, but he didn't see the glory in the way that it was going down. So that's when he thinks of impure blood, that's what he's thinking of. He's not thinking of the other races that he hates them. No, that wasn't the case when he took leadership.
Thrashing on the field of battle, like true orcs should. You are an orc no longer, and speak for none.
Orcs did recover, but the green orcs that we know today are not the same green orcs that Garrosh saw in the Outland. Remember, they left through the portal. Garrosh never saw the progression of his race. He never saw them kind of return to sanity. He never saw his father redeem himself. All he saw was this blood-crazed, green-skinned, red-eyed army that was just savagely tearing everything apart. No war involved, just savagely raging across the lands, killing all the women, children, and everything else in their path. And then they went through a portal to Azeroth and he never saw them again. So that's the image he has in his head about, impurity.
Yourself, you betrayed our people to forge your fragile alliances, and I will take great pleasure in tearing them apart.
Then you have forced my hand. I will correct the mistake I made long ago. Spirits of the wind, the earth, the water, hear my call. Come to my aid.
Shit.
Fool! My dark shaman
Man's playing
have
chess.
twisted and tortured the elements for miles around. They cannot hear you now. Once again, you prove too weak and powerless to do anything.
Never powerless, Garrosh. And never alone.
So, you wish to face off against a real orc war?
He's got some great lines, man.
So be it. I, Garrosh, son of Grom, will show you what it means to be called Hellscream.
The fight with Garrosh ultimately culminates in him absorbing the powers of the Heart of Y'Shaarj, turning him into a corrupted monster and transporting players to an alternate dimension in the Stormwind Harbor.
Honestly, this whole fight kind of seems like... I guess Garrosh's character arc took a turn. It was kind of said by Blizzard devs. Because any acceptance of additional power that wasn't gained through battle, through training, through all this stuff, it seemed like Garrosh was anti that. But then he takes on this power of a Shav and just blasts off. It just seems kind of anti-older Garrosh, but maybe he changed over time. I don't know.
Where the leaders
His
of the
story
Horde
arc has some
Alliance are
inconsistencies
pinned on
in it.
spikes, and Garrosh's Orcish Horde reigns supreme. But obviously, since he fights player characters, he's defeated.
No! It cannot end like this. What I have seen. No.
What did he see?
This world is my destiny. My destiny.
What did he see?
You disappoint me, Garrosh.
After Garrosh is defeated, Vol'jin takes his place as the leader of the Horde, and a trial is organized for Garrosh. Now, obviously, he is guilty for all the crimes, but politically, the trial allows there to be some clear separation between Garrosh's actions and the Horde. It lets them condemn the war chief and work on mending relations with the Alliance. And let me just say, one of the reasons why I love Garrosh's story so much is because it feels just so incredibly grounded. The war chief's actions had rippling effects across multiple factions on Azeroth, and we're able to see their characterization in meaningful, grounded ways. We can see the Night Elves in their stubborn unwillingness to help the Horde, the pacifist, gentle giant nature of the Tauren who only use violence as the last option, and the cultural divide between the generations of orcs. For like 95% of Garrosh's story, he wasn't some big bad guy corrupted by a higher power or
Right.
some otherworldly eldritch horror. He was just an orc from a bygone era, looking to continue his father's great legacy and ensure a prosperous future for his people by any means necessary. This antagonistic approach is how Garrosh was eventually hit with the villain bat because, well, this is an MMO and Warcraft's narrative needs to be constantly building up bad guys for us to defeat because, you know, a raid needs to come out every single major
Garrosh did seem so much more nuanced than he was at the end when we raided him. That's definitely sure.
But yeah, what makes Garrosh's story so great is the understanding people can connect with throughout his tragic story in a villain arc grounded in misguided pride. Okay, so anyways, during Garrosh's trial, he doesn't deny any of his crimes, and then works with a time-traveling and 2-year-old dragon to go to an alternate dimension Draenor and meet up with an alternate universe version of his dad, and tell him not to drink the demon blood, and instead they should ride Iron Horde motorcycles instead and take over Azeroth. But like 1/4 of the way into this plan, at the very beginning of this expansion,
Times
Thrall
change,
finds
baby.
him, challenges him to a duel, and just kills him.
Yeah.
Okay, so the transition between Mist of Pandaria and the Warlords of Draenor might be the biggest jump-the-shark moment in Warcraft history,
I think so.
especially for Garrosh's story.
Warlords was a
Warlords
mistake.
of Draenor is such a tough expansion for me to criticize because, you know, I have really rose-tinted goggles around the expansion. Is going to a time-traveling alternate dimension totally ridiculous? Yes.
Yeah.
Is there not a lot of content in the expansion? Yes.
Yeah.
Does Garrosh's story go totally off the rails for this to even happen? Yes. Does the main story suck? Yes. But also some of the best media, raid bosses, and world building Blizzard has ever done
Yeah.
is also in this expansion.
All of the I forgot what they called them, all those like those artistic cinematic things that they did about all the different tribes, orc tribes, those were awesome. Those were so good. And like I said, the opening storyline for WoD, I said this yesterday, those opening quest lines where the Iron Horde is there and we're running away from them, that was one of the coolest opening quest lines for any expansion, honestly. The storyline behind it all, the way it played out, when we're running down that path and the Iron Horde is literally shooting us with cannons and they're right there, and at the end of the day, at the end of the whole run, they're like standing at the top of the cliff and we see the leaders of the Iron Horde. There was a really cool intro to this expansion. And then it just went limp at the end. That was a real
Expansion, so I kind of have to give it a pass. Also, the fight between Garrosh and Thrall is one of the best cinematics they have ever made,
was a
especially
good
when it comes
cinematic.
to the voice acting.
You made me war chief! You
He
left
calls him
me
out.
to pick up your pieces! You failed me!
And there come the father issues, you see? He just abandoned him, and he's literally telling him, he's like, you left me, man. You left me. I trusted you. I saw you like a father, and then you just left me at one of the worst times possible? You're to blame, too.
No.
Thrall's whole
Warcraft's
comeback
story
was
would
bullshit.
continue to progress over the next 3 expansions, and then during the Shadowlands, there would be a surprising return of everyone's favorite war criminal in the realm of death. It's just that him returning is so bad and over-the-top fan service that it kind of turns into being amazing. In the Sanctum of
Yeah, I
Domination,
thought it was good.
Garrosh has been tortured
I liked Garrosh's
for his life
appearance here.
essence, but his willpower is just so unbreakable. And when players free him, he just doubles down on everything he believed when he was alive. It's just a perfect fan service end to one of the most headstrong characters in all
cool.
of Warcraft.
I submit to no one! Not you! Not the jailer! And not that coward Thrall!
So good. So Garrosh. You know why I think one reason why a lot of people like Garrosh and why I did, honestly, even like I said, he was so anti-alliance, but he was who he was. Like unmistakably so, he was who he never faltered, never changed, like he just, I am fucking Garrosh. And this is my belief system, and this is how I'm gonna roll. and fuck everybody else. And that I don't know, there's something cool about that quality. Like, just to say fuck you to everybody and just be who you are. That's kind of what Garrosh was. I think that's why I liked him.
Garrosh is the best villain in all of Warcraft history because he isn't just some corrupted big bad guy.
He was the true
He's
Horde.
an
He was the
intricate
spirit of the
character
Horde for a while,
whose
yeah.
upbringing is
No
highly
doubt.
specific to the Warcraft universe. His story was something that was slowly built up over the span of 5 expansions. And during his storyline, there were serious consequences to his actions, which helped innovate on other characters' storylines and alter the world in meaningful ways. I highly doubt he will ever return to the story again, but we can still appreciate the legacy of the best villain ever written in the Warcraft universe.
It's a good one. I still think Arthas Menethil goes down as the best villain ever written in the Warcraft universe. But if we're talking just World of Warcraft, you gotta remember, Garrosh was born, lived, and died only in World of Warcraft. He was never a Warcraft 2, 3, whatever character. He definitely goes down as the best one ever in that case. Yeah, great video. Another good one from Platinum WoW. I mean, he only makes great videos, honestly. But yeah, long live the spirit of Garrosh. The unwavering. Never faltered. Always unmistakably himself. And in that, we find honor in Garrosh.